if you've come here to get this file, go ahead and get it. You don't have to watch the video. In fact, I'm showing you what you're gonna get for this video, from this video right here, so that you don't have to watch the whole thing. I don't like videos where you have to sit through 30 minutes before the guy gets to a point, you know, or to the point of why you watch the video. The point of CNR, catch and release, is that we're taking characters from the public domain like Dracula, Thor, Frankenstein, Hercules, Athena, etc., etc. We're gonna redesign them and then resubmit them back into the public domain so that others can use it freely. So basically, I'll be drawing the stuff and then throwing it back out. Caught it, I'm gonna release it back into the water for you to catch again, or whatever, right? So, what you're looking at is the file itself. It's in vector. I started it as a bitmap in Krita, but then I exported, not the text you're looking at, but the drawing itself, the illustration. I started it in Krita, then I exported it out to Inkscape, where I traced the bitmap for the line work, the black line work, and then I built up on the line work to see the final product you're looking at here. So go ahead and take a look. I'm gonna shut up for a minute, let you check that out. I moved that stuff over to show you that everything is separated. I would have liked to have separated every single piece of it, like each bullet, you know, on a different file, on a different layer, or as a different object. The skull as a different object, the crow as a different object. But I didn't have the forethought to do it at the time. But I'll definitely keep that in mind for the next one we do, that I make available for you, and then you can actually mix and match things from different pieces and different illustrations and stuff like that. The whole point of this is to give you guys a cache or arsenal of stuff that you can put into your designs. The style that I used here is sort of like an old school. If you ever read an old Saturday morning newspaper and then you read the cartoons, so like the Tarzan cartoons, Buck Rogers, you know, anything scary, that kind of thing. And I think I've also seen this sort of style in the Penny Dreadfuls, like the ones you get, the pulps, as it were, that you get from like England, where they have like horror stories, and maybe they have illustrations of Edgar Allan Poe's stories like Telltale Heart, etc., etc. The Raven, I think that was a Edgar Allan Poe story. I have a raven here. So, we could say that this is sort of like a public domain illustration of Edgar Allan Poe's Raven, but you know, could be that if you want it to be. Alright, so closing that file out, or closing that out so I can show you how I started it. Opened up Krita and started doing some sketching, you know, work out the kinks, you know, on the brushwork. Basic drawing skills here. If you need fundamentals, there are plenty of other videos online that are way better than mine that you can go check out, get fundamental skills. Scott Robertson for Scott Robertson for perspective, Feng Zhu for basically anything else, because this channel has, I think, maybe 1,000 videos by now, you know, since, I don't know if he's been doing this since 2000 or 2002 or whatever. Basic anatomy. I had some references on the side I have two monitors. I had to add some references on the side. So this skull here is a composite of different skulls, different things I liked about different skulls. And the brushwork that I'm using here, I wanted to emulate traditional as close as possible. And the brush set I'm using is from Woltera. W-O-L-T-H-E-R-A. Woltera. And what Woltera has done with his brush set is that he has emulated the traditional inking tools that the pros use, like Croco pens, repeatograph, technical pens, sable brushes, even felt tips and magic markers. Now the thing is, usually the brushes that I get aren't that fluid and they don't feel that natural. So Woltera's brushes really did like a great job with this. It felt like I was holding the actual sable brush, so that was really good. How I like to use a sable brush is my strokes start off very thick, and then I flick my wrist, and the tail end of that stroke ends up very thin and wispy. And it's traditional, it's called feathering, but how I use it is very personal and different. And that brush set, Woltera's brush set, really helped me out, and it felt so natural. It's not even funny. You can see here I'm doing some cross hatching under the crow. I was thinking not to have the shadow under the crow on top of the skull be in ink, but it sort of felt organic to do it like that, so I went ahead and did it. So now, and I'm working on 1 or 2 layers. You don't want to have a whole bunch of layers working with Krita, especially if you don't have a system that can handle it. Now, while I do have a system that can handle it, I'm doing this with a thought in mind that we're doing this as a community. So I'm not gonna do something that my computer is equipped to do and yours is not. So that's why I try to keep everything as basic meat and potatoes as possible. Now I'm adding shadows to where the bullets are. I added very extreme shadows to where the bullets are. And everything here is fast and loose, by the way. So even the perspective not completely on point, the shadowing is not completely on point, but the idea is what I wanted to convey, and I wanted to do this very quickly and upload it for you guys. And there we go. I exported that out to Inkscape, and what you saw there are screen tones. I had the idea that I wanted to have screen tones as midtones in this, and it was a good idea at the time. However, as I started to apply it, it started looking very cheesy, if that's a word for it. I've seen that sort of thing before. Sort of like skulls with screen tones and stuff like that. I was like, you know what? Maybe not. So I went ahead and got rid of it. It might come back in a minute. Like I can get very stubborn when I have an idea, so it might come back in a minute. But eventually I got rid of it. There it goes. Came back, I got rid of it. And so now I start building on top of, I go back and forth, by the way, between Krita and Inkscape, so that like if I miss something, I go back and fix it in that program the program that it's best to do it in. And I had in mind that maybe I wanted to do the entire illustration in Krita, but then I thought about it, like, wait a minute, I want to actually have this as vector so that you can blow it up. Let's say you want it as a poster on your wall, you can blow it up as a vector. Maybe you want it, you want to take some elements of it and put it on a business card like the crow itself, or just a skull, and put it on something like a sticker. Then you can shrink it down, and vector will allow you to do that. No matter how big or small you make vector, it's still the same. It's still the same quality. There you go. See, I have the main shadows, right, in the eye sockets, and under the jaw structure, and under the bird. I'm working with, it's not, you've heard the term dual tone at this point, I'm sure. but I wanted to go for 4 tones. The first tone is the line work itself, and it's solid black. The second tone, sort of like a mid-tone of the skull, right? And the third tone would sort of be the highlight, where I leave it blank so that the white shows through. And the fourth tone, I wanted to go in between the solid line work and the mid-tone. And you're seeing that here. And at some point, what I'm going to actually do is the brushwork that I used over in Krita for the line work, I want to actually emulate that with the toning here in Inkscape. See that right there? I'm cutting the feathering effect into the middle of it. See, that's a nice effect, right? I certainly liked it. And it was just the idea in my head to do it. And then when I actually did, I'm like, whoa, okay, this might work. So that's the thing. That's one of the things to keep in mind, is never be afraid to try stuff, especially digitally. And when you're working with digital, that Control Z is a lifesaver. You can keep undoing, till the cows come home, depending on how you program your software or your software settings. So, don't be afraid to try stuff. I went for a blue to indicate the crow's skin tone. Oh, we're in GIMP right now. All right, I went to GIMP and did a grunge spray. Then I exported it as a PNG over to Inkscape, and I traced bitmap. Then I used perspective. If you need to know how to do any of those things I mentioned, go to VScorpionC. She has very comprehensive instructions on how to do these things in Inkscape, like how to make things, put things in perspective, how to trace bitmap, which I can actually do another video showing some of those stuff. But nobody beats VScorpionC in that. Like, she's sort of like a mistress of all trades. She's an expert at Blender, Inkscape, GIMP, Krita, etc. If you need to stop this video, go check her stuff out, then come back to me. What you're looking at here is the crow was getting lost. For me, it wasn't actually standing out enough. So I used the mid-tone that I got from GIMP and bitmap traced it in Inkscape, and then I used it as a mid-ground between the background and the crow. Here's sort of like a repeat of what I showed you at the beginning of the video, showing you that these things are separate. You can separate them. I'm showing you different aspects of the illustration. Please remember that you can find the illustrations and the links I'm going to provide below. I hope this video catches all the intricacies that I wanted to show. And I hope this was very helpful for you. There we go. The bullets. Actually, the bullets are the ones that I spent the least amount of time actually doing, because I've mastered some of the fundamentals of like core, shadow, highlight, So one of the things you want to do, here's a quick tip here, is that all of us have crappy drawings in us, like really bad drawings. So what you want to do is head out to Walmart, even though there's nothing wrong with doing digital work, because this video is teaching you digital, right? But if you go out to Walmart, spend $3 and get a big stack of copy paper, and a box of technical pencils, and some Sharpies. Then you come home, and every day you do something with one of those sheets, like you do a drawing, and eventually, once that stack of paper is gone, you will have gotten a lot of a lot of bad drawings out of your system, and some of the good drawings will be able to come out. So that's just a small tip, you know. Okay, so I think we're done, and all the files will be available. Bye.